Ever wondered why the man Jacob wrestles with in Genesis 32 asks him what his name is? Why is that important? Let's check it out on this episode of Masterpiece. Hey everyone, welcome to another Masterpiece episode. My name is Chris, and I want to help you take your Bible study experience to the next level and discover just how beautiful and fascinating this book really is. If you're new here, thanks so much for stopping by, and of course, make sure you hit that subscribe button and activate the bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming exciting episodes. And if you find the video helpful, remember to give it a thumbs up and share it with anyone you think might also benefit from it. So, we are once again back in the book of Genesis. As you may remember, in our last episode, we looked at a really fascinating allusion in Genesis 27. By the way, if you missed that video, make sure to check it out sometime. So last time, Genesis 27, this time we're going to Genesis 32, which is again a story about Jacob. Okay, so just to situate ourselves, in Genesis 32, Jacob is on his way back to the land of Canaan after many years in exile with his uncle Laban. So he's in the process of returning home with his family and all of his possessions, but there's one problem. His brother Esau, the one he stole the blessing from many years before, has heard that he's returning and is coming to meet him with 400 men. So what does Jacob do? He divides everything that belongs to him into two camps. He prays to God for deliverance, and he sends a large gift to his brother to appease him. And then comes the last night before he will meet Esau. And in that night, Jacob is all alone, and all of a sudden, a mysterious man starts wrestling with him. You've probably heard about this story before. And as always, there's a lot we could talk about. But in this video, I just want to focus on one part of the story. And that's the short little dialogue in verse 27. So Jacob and the man are wrestling. They wrestle all night long. And when the morning comes, the man says, "Let me go." But Jacob says, "I won't let you go unless you bless me." And then comes verse 27. So he said to him, "What is your name?" And he said, "Jacob." Kind of strange, isn't it? Here we have Jacob wrestling with some mysterious man, and at some point the man wants to go, but Jacob is like, "No, first you have to bless me." And in response, the man asks what his name is. Like, why? I mean, what's the purpose of this question? Especially if this man is really God himself, as the story suggests. Wouldn't he already know what Jacob's name is? But even if he didn't know the name, why would he need that information? And why would he need it precisely at this point in the story? In other words, what does Jacob's name have to do with his request that the man should bless him? Well, in this case, it's once again helpful to, number one, take the context into account, and number two, to ask the question, what does this remind me of? So as we already noted, in the immediate context, we have Jacob, who really wants to get blessed, and then in verse 27, we have the question what his name is. Okay, so Jacob really wants to get a blessing, and then someone asks him a question about his name, and he responds by saying his name. What does that remind us of? Of course, there's only one other place in the Jacob story where we have the same combination, and that is in chapter 27, where Jacob really wants to get the blessing. He goes into his father, and his father asks, "Who are you, my son?" And Jacob says, "I'm Esau." And he gets the blessing. But the fact that here in chapter 32, he again asks to be blessed shows that he realizes that something is missing. He has the blessing, and yet he doesn't, because he got it through deception. And now the question the man asks him makes perfect sense. What is your name? Who are you? Because that's precisely the issue in chapter 27. Jacob got the blessing, but he only got it because he lied about his identity. So before the man can bless him, this issue of his identity must be resolved. And this time, Jacob doesn't lie. He doesn't try to deceive, but he tells the truth. I'm Jacob. And when you think about it, that answer is pretty significant. Not just because it's the truth, but also because his name is an expression of his identity, of his character in the story up to this point. Maybe you know that in Hebrew, the name Jacob is related to the idea of deception, which is what Esau is referring to in Genesis 27:36, where he says, "Is he not rightly named Jacob, for he has deceived me these 2 times?" Which means Jacob's name is closely connected to his identity. Not just in Genesis 27, but throughout his life, Jacob is the deceiver, the one who's always playing tricks on people to get what he wants. So when he tells the man in Genesis 32 that he's Jacob, he's actually making a confession. He's saying, yeah, I'm Jacob. I'm that guy who always tried to help himself instead of trusting God. But the beautiful thing is, as soon as he admits it, his name is changed. He receives a new identity. And then something else happens. Notice verse 31. Now the sun rose upon him just as he crossed over Penuel. Why is that significant? Because there's only one other place in the Jacob story that the sun is mentioned, and that is in chapter 28. Remember, after Jacob deceived his father and his brother, he had to flee from home, and in chapter 28, he comes to a place where he lies down to sleep, and he has a dream about a ladder that reaches up to heaven on which angels of God were going up and down. You've probably heard about that story. And what do we read at the very beginning of that story? Genesis 28, verse 11. He came to a certain place and spent the night there because the sun had set. So right after Jacob obtained the blessing through deception, and just as he's leaving the promised land, the sun sets. And in a certain sense, it stays down. But here in Genesis 32, as Jacob is entering the land again, and just after he has admitted his fault and has been blessed by God, the sun rises again on Jacob's life. Isn't that amazing how the author uses the design of the text to convey his message? I think it's pretty fascinating, especially because it's also relevant to us. Because when you think about it, this is really our story. The story of human beings in pursuit of the blessing. But the question is, how do we get it? And too often, far too often, we try to do it like Jacob. Try to get it on our own, the way we think is best. And the result is always the same. We hurt ourselves and other people, and we end up living in the exile of sin, burdened with guilt, just like Jacob. But just like God didn't give up on Jacob, he doesn't give up on us. He wants to bless us. And so he comes to us in our time of distress, and he asks that probing question, what is your name? Who are you? Takes us back to the place of our failure and invites us to make a different choice, to admit who we really are. Sinful human beings who try to help themselves instead of trusting God. And the beautiful thing is, as soon as we do that, we receive a new identity and the sun rises in our life. I don't know about you, but is there anything more relevant than that? So that's it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it and that you're motivated to study the Bible in a deeper way. All I can say is it's so worth it. So give it a try, and if you need some additional help, remember to check out our website at masterpiece.bible. Lots of free resources there to help you dig deeper into the Bible. Check it out sometime. As always, thanks for watching. Stay safe and healthy out there, and we'll see you on the next one. Ciao.